Everybody, I would like to welcome Chris Fowler, assistant coach at NAU, Northern Arizona University, back to the Quiet Time podcast. My man, what's going on?
What can't they do?
They can't ban you.
They can't ban me. Here we go.
So today's topic, I'm just going to say something out loud to you, and then I want you to tell me what it means to you. T.C.U.P.
Oh, thinking correctly under pressure.
So what does that mean to you?
Man, it started as a slogan Dad used to say in our AAU basketball practices, power stroke practices, when he wanted us to, in the last 6 minutes of a game, is something that he was big on. Last 6 minutes of a game, executing as best you can while the pressure's on the most. And when you really dive into it and think about what it means for life, if you're thinking correctly, in pressure situations, you can always go back to execution and executing the plan that you prepared for, or executing the plan that, or executing your preparation and how much practice has gone into everything that we do. So when you get in pressure situations, I can think correctly because of how I prepared. And that's what he did for us when we were younger. And that's what it means to me now.
How do you go about doing that now?
Well, you can just you can prepare as best you can for every scenario, what you might see, what you think you might see, especially in coaching. Like this is what they do. This is what they might counter with based off what we do. Try and figure out all the ways they might counter and create counters to their counters, and be able to adjust in real time. While you create. You prepare and create a plan to win the game, knowing that plan can change or adjust, and being flexible enough to adjust that plan. And
you sound excited when you talk about it.
Once that situation arises, I'm excited to see, some of the things that maybe I've done or thought about or learned in the past. How will it work? And I'm not necessarily. I'm not the one that's going to be like, oh, I know it's going to work. I know this. I know that. I'm excited to experiment. I want to see if it works. I want to see if
you want to fail.
Just show me.
You want to succeed and you want to fail too.
I want to see. I just want to see what happens. And then I want to adjust to what happens because there's no perfect formula. So I want to see, like, just what I think, because it's the farther you climb up this chain of coaching status, where you go from GA to whatever spot you go up to. I started as a GA, now I'm an assistant coach. Like, I want to see the difference. Am I treated differently by players? Am I treated differently by alumni, supporters? Will they respond differently because I'm in a higher position of authority? And will the methods that I think work, will they work? And how will I have to adjust if they don't? Even how I have to adjust if they do. I'm excited to figure it out.
Thinking correctly under pressure, and what I heard you say is being prepared. And I think being prepared, I feel like sometimes people underestimate that. I think people underestimate being prepared, not necessarily physically or mentally, but being prepared for a different route. Mm-hmm. Thinking correctly under pressure, like, all right, this didn't happen. Now in that pressure situation, getting ready to make another decision. And I think that's one of the best things that I've learned from Peyton and Eli, is that they're prepared for the game plan to go right, but mostly they're prepared for it to go wrong and just adjust off of that. Or, if a signal was seen on TV the week before, or a cold word was heard on TV the week before, Peyton was like super serious about changing the code word and the signal. Like, he would have the third string quarterback watch the TV copy on Mondays for any signals that were on the TV copy or any code words that were on the TV copy. And then we would change them. We would change them that Wednesday and study it all week. So we were prepared. And then we would give it a dummy signal. We call it like a bozo signal, where we would call the same thing of Simba. We call the same play and then change it. And then, they're biting on the fake or the screen, touchdown.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's difficult it's not difficult to do, but that's why he was, in your eyes, the greatest, right?
Yeah, there's nobody like him. When you see, it's just an opinion based thing. And don't get me wrong, Tom Brady, 6 rings, but I mean, we'll never see anybody control the line of scrimmage like that. That's
right. Understanding what everybody else does and doesn't do. And I think there's different sorts of preparation that goes into a lot of different things. And his ability to learn from his mistakes, I mean, and I can only talk about it from an outside perspective, is, as he goes, he kind of had the mantra of a regular season quarterback, and he just kept getting better and figuring things out, like no matter what. And then he got to a point where he could he won 2 Super Bowls, and he won both of them different ways because of what he was able to figure out. And, he's probably one of the best at thinking correctly under pressure, because there is no bigger situation than the line of scrimmage in a football game, and controlling that line of scrimmage and seeing what the defense is doing, being able to quickly remember your preparation and then go out and execute. But that's what he was good at. He didn't have the best arm strength, and he didn't have, he maybe wasn't the most accurate, but he was the best at that. And his preparation allowed him to be that. And that's why it allowed him to think correctly under pressure.
Thinking correctly under pressure, you are a coach. I'm going to be coach when I'm done coaching, people professionally to help them level up and have more fulfillment, and also to help athletes, just create a vision for identifying themselves, not just only as an athlete, and taking them through that process and understanding that process and giving them that vision. Out of the best coaches, who is the best coach you think, since we've been growing up and, we're now adults, that you've seen out of, Popovich, Phil Jackson, Bill Belichick? You got people like Coach K, you got Shaka Smart. There's so many different coaches. You got Brad Stevens, Doc Rivers. Who is the coach approach that you like, or who you think's the best?
At the professional level, it's easy to say Belichick and Pop, just for the simple fact that the roster changes so much, and it's such a talent-based game that they find a way to use their talent and help that talent benefit to the best of their ability year after year. Like, no matter what the talent looks like, whether it's Hall of Famers, it's not Hall of Famers. Now, they both benefited from having really great players. I'm not saying that, but the system that they've implemented to get the best out of those great players makes them some of the best to watch from the outside. I don't know how they go about their business inside the locker room, which is why it's difficult to say how, like, if they're the best and if they're not the best, because you just never know what's going on inside the locker rooms. And when you come out and their teams are always prepared, no matter what, to take away what the other team does best, and their talent is always used to the best of its ability to be in the right spot and to do what they do best. I mean, I don't think there's anybody better than those two that I've been able to watch growing up, because they change. Like, they're adaptable. Like, Bill Belichick was able to adapt to the different landscape of the NFL in this decade than it was in the early 2000s when he won his first Super Bowl. And Pop was able to adapt from 99 when he had Robinson and Duncan to 03 between the Lakers, right after the Lakers three-peat. And then from that 03 time, won it again in 07. And then the game was completely changed in 13 when they won it. He had he had 3 Hall of Famers, but he understood that Kawhi Leonard was his best player. He understood that the teams nowadays, you need more spacing. You need to shoot more threes. You need to be probably a little bit smaller. Everybody on the court needs to be able to pass the ball. 3 decades, 3 adjustments, 5 titles. And I think to be able to do that's amazing.
So to say, if we had to just break down T.C.U.P, thinking correctly under pressure, is being adaptable.
You got to be adaptable, because it's not going to go the way you plan. It never is.
Right.
Like, the way you thought about it in your head, not going to go that way. So you have to be adaptable. You have to be adaptable in all situations. You have to be prepared for those situations. And sometimes, I mean, the best part about it is you could think correctly under pressure and not be prepared for that situation that you're about to run into. Where the mistake happens is if you're not ready on Monday when it happens, and then it happens again on Friday and you're still not ready. That's the lack of thinking correctly under pressure. Like, I can be as calm as I want to and not be ready for the situation today that could come upon me. But a month from now, if I'm still not ready and I'm still in the same spot, thinking the same way, then I'm not thinking correctly under pressure.
Everybody, the one and only Chris Fowler. So T.C.U.P, everybody who's listening today, thinking correctly under pressure. And what I've taken from this conversation is to be prepared, but also be ready to adapt. And
adapt.
Yeah, so I want to say thank you to all the listeners. Everybody, Chris Fowler, assistant coach at NAU, can't ban him. You cannot ban him.
No.
Everybody, thank you for listening to the Quiet Time podcast. We'll see you soon.